It's about a 16-inch MacBook Pro today. I want to focus more on how this computer is to use in day-to-day use rather than showing you a huge list of benchmarks with numbers. However, we have to run some tests because this is a review. The model I'm talking about today is the one with the M2 Max processor, 32GB of memory, 2TB of storage. I upgraded originally from the first generation 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro, the one with the touch bar. I never really got out to try the new M1 14 and M1 16-inch design. So for me, this is new. The additional ports, the SD card reader, and the HDMI 2.1 port, which is a new upgrade on the M2, is of course a welcome addition as well from Apple. Compared to the last time I tried to use Mac as my daily driver for everything, it was the 16-inch MacBook Pro with Intel. This is just completely different in more or less all aspects of the laptop, so just keep watching this video where I go through what I think is good about this one. It really feels solidly built as we come to expect from Apple. It's perhaps a little bit on the heavy side, but I think considering this could be a desktop replacement, it's not that big of a deal for me, the weight, because I do travel, but I don't travel that much, and I often travel by car. I would rather take a professional laptop that weighs a little more and that gives you a little bit more performance. And if not, you can go for the 14-inch model, and that will offer you more or less the same performance, maybe a little bit less with some differences. So let's just jump straight into the benchmarks at the SSD speed. So here we are running Amorphous Disk Mark. We can see that the speed is really fast. We get around 6.5 GB in read speed and almost 8 GB in write speed, which makes disk operation on this Mac really fast. You have to remember that you won't get this SSD speed on all models on this generation though. So if you go for the cheapest 14-inch with 512 GB, you will experience some slower SSD speeds compared to the one you see here. So that could be good to know. So make sure to check other reviews on the 14-inch or the actual machine that you plan to get, because there are some differences there. We have to go through Cinebench, something that everyone runs. On multicore, I get a score of around 14,500. And on single score, I get a score of around 1,628. I compared it with scores from some other people, and it's a little bit lower than them. But then again, this is a system I use for daily use, and I have a few applications running at the same time. So I'm just using it as a regular user, and I think it's within perhaps the error margin in this case. Geekbench, we also have to run. We get 2,003 points on single core. That's actually pretty high comparing to what I have seen from others. And we get 14,560 in multi-score speeds. Seems like those numbers are consistent with the results other people have gotten. Music production, I have done extensive tests in Logic and Ableton, so you make sure to check out my dedicated videos about that, and the link will pop out in the top now. But running Logic with one Serum synth, 2 stock plugins resulted in 330 tracks before I got a system overload. And if I'm not remember correctly, I think that was in 256 buffer size or maybe 512. I'm not sure. You have to see the videos. So fan noise. People have asked me if I hear any fan noise, and I haven't heard any fan noise on this computer in my day-to-day use. Normal use for me can be Photoshop, it can be music production. Even when rendering video edits in Davinci Resolve, I have not heard the fan turn on. I can, however, turn on the fans at full speed manually, and we can, with this microphone, try to record the sound. It's difficult to give a sense of how the fan noise is in this room because the volume will be different and all rooms sound different. But this room where this microphone is in is very quiet, but as we are going to hear on full blast pretty soon, you can hear that the noise is there, but it's not high-pitched and annoying whining. So that was how the fan sounds at full blast. I know it's probably not the ideal way of recording it, but you at least get a sense of how it sounds. So I have been on and off for several years using a Mac as my main computer versus Windows, and I have in most cases went back to Windows and used a self-built PC because, well, they can be configured the way I want. In most cases it's cheaper, and I can game on them if I want as well. But after using this 16-inch MacBook Pro for a week or so, I'm not so sure anymore. I have always had a Mac in my possession. The 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro was often the machine I used to answer emails, plan content on this channel, write in notes, actually the notes I'm reading from my phone here now, and the occasional music production when I am on the go. That works really well on the M1 as well. Video editing, that was done on my PC just as music production. But now when I have tried video editing on this machine, it's so much more fluid compared to the PC, and that's Davinci Resolve compared to the PC and Mac. And on the PC I'm actually running a 7950X as well, so it should be pretty good, but I feel that this Mac is better in that regard. Sure, if I game a lot, it's a no-brainer. I should go for a PC, that's the way to go. But gaming for me nowadays has mostly been on my PlayStation and the occasional Minecraft I play with my kids, and that runs fine on this Mac. So I started using this computer for the past weeks for music production and everything else really, and I haven't even touched my desktop PC during this time. We can all look at benchmarks and numbers, but I have to say that using this computer has been really enjoyable, and now I just want to show you how it can perform in some of these tasks. So we are going to just move the camera and film over my shoulder. We are going to take a look at while I'm rendering a video, Photoshop, Lightroom, and things of that sort. So let's take a look. So I have a 4K project here in Davinci Resolve free edition, and the project is about 50 GB with some 10-bit 60 FPS video from my Sony a7 IV camera. Now, I'm not a video editing expert, so I don't use a lot of layers as you can see here or color correction, but scrubbing through the timeline, it seems like it's working pretty good. Yeah, it's fluid, or maybe not fluid. It's a lot more fluid compared to my desktop PC at least. So if I perhaps go to the media folder here and just go through the clip. So this is a 60 FPS 4K 10-bit clip, and I think it's H265, 200 megabits per second, 4K 60 FPS, and it's HEVC. And I can just scrub through it here without any issues. And the fans are not turning on the Mac. Nothing really happens. It's silent. If you hear sounds here, it's my family. And yeah, it's pretty fluid. And at the same time, I'm downloading some World of Warcraft to see if I can try it afterwards. So there are other things happening on this PC as well. But what I thought we could do now is to start a render of this video while I am doing something else. So just add it to render queue. Let's just start the render the jobs like so. So now it's going, using quite a lot of resources of the computer. And while it's rendering here now, let's just open up Photoshop at the same time. Let's just see how this works. And let's just open up a raw file from the camera here. So here is camera raw. Let's just try to press automatic, remove some of the highlights, take up some shadows, white, take that off. You can see that it's really fluid, right? Sharpening here, that's fluid. Noise reduction, that's fluid. Okay, just press open. Some adjustments here. Again, it's fluid, working fine, and at the same time, it's rendering here, okay? So it's working fine, no fans. Let's open up Lightroom, see how that works, okay? So Lightroom Classic. Let's play around with Lightroom. So here is in Norway, Lofoten. This is a raw file. It's from a Nikon D810. A few years ago, the file is about 45 megabytes. Let's just try something. Auto. Let's take down the highlights. Get up the shadows a little bit. Let's go down and activate lens correction here. Let's see. Sharpening is at 40. So the ISO is 500, zoom in. And mind you, at the same time we are rendering a 4K project. Let's just do some noise reduction here. Okay, let's see here if we can do something interesting. Okay, so we can enhance it here. Press enhance, super resolution and raw details. So now it's loading a little bit, right? And okay, enhanced, without enhance, enhanced, without enhance, enhanced. Okay, press that button, watch over there, and it's creating enhanced DNG. And there we go, there it is. Okay, zooming in, a little beach ball there. So let's see how big this file is. Enhanced DNC, so go to, yeah, so it's 9824 by 14720. I guess this file size is pretty high, so let's go and see here and sort by file size. So it's around 550 megabytes, and we are still rendering. Yep, we are still rendering. Okay. Well, let's go into Photoshop then. Let's see if we can edit in Photoshop. Okay, opening Photoshop while Lightroom is running. Loading a little bit. It's a 550 megabyte file. Reading camera raw. Okay, there we go. So here is the file. Let's see if we can do some adjustment. Automatic tone. Okay, there we go. Automatic contrast. So we are really taxing the computer here now. Let's see if we can try some neural filters. So this is real world use. Maybe we have to turn it on. Okay, there we go. Okay, here, wow. This looks strange. Okay, let's just try some adjustments. Okay, yeah, it works, at least. It's not crashed yet. If I did this on Windows, my Windows computer would most definitely crash. It didn't tackle when I loaded up raw files in Photoshop and did other things with my Windows PC. It had some issues, and this was with a clean installed the Ryzen system, so I don't know why. But yeah, you can see that it has no problems. I mean, switching between applications, recording my audio at the same time, rendering here, Photoshop, Lightroom, downloading World of Warcraft. I'm going to try that, see what the FPS are. This is one thing I want to see in reviews when I see product reviews. I don't always want to see benchmarks. I want to see benchmarks because, I mean, you want to know how things are working, but I want to see how it just works when you just click around and how you just do stuff on the machine. You can see here how snappy it actually is. So we have to stop this. So cancel. Just close Davinci Resolve, and okay, it's that fast. So here is Audacity recording my audio. All the while we were doing this, we had no fan noise at all. Even the CPU meter here did not get in the roof as well. So yeah, I think this is a win to the Apple laptop. So, can you game on these machines? Well, it all depends on what type of games you want to play. I mean, World of Warcraft, for instance, it was perhaps a popular MMO, it's still a popular MMO, that has a native ARM client for the Mac. Then again, this is a 20-year-old game, but it's being kept up to date, so what should we expect really? But if you see or you don't see the FPS meter here, this is now running fine on this external display of mine. The resolution is 2560 by 1440, and we are now running in 144 FPS. That's actually the max of the display. It's dipping a little bit around to kind of 139 thereabouts, but if you see here, it's really fluid and it works really great. I would like to test some more games, but I don't really have that much games installed on this computer, so if you really want to see that, type that in the comments below. You can also run some Windows games on this computer using crossover, for example. So if you want to try to run GTA 5, it will actually be able to play it, and as I have seen other YouTubers testing it, it's actually playing pretty good, around 70-80 FPS on the M2 Max, even through translation layers. And as well as Witcher 3 is working through crossover if you disable that hair thing, NVIDIA hair works. And when it's been loading in for a while, you get probably around 70 or 80 FPS. But let me know if you want me to test it. And then we have, of course, upcoming games such as Baldur's Gate 3 that will have a native Mac client, and other games such as Davinci Original Sin 2 also have a native Mac client using Metal, and that will also work just fine on this MacBook. And on the Macs you also get more GPU cores, so if gaming is something you are interested in when you have done editing your videos, when you have done recording YouTube or produced some music, you can actually play some of those games on this machine, as you can see here, and it works really well. And another thing to say, the fan is not on. It's actually noiseless. I don't hear any fan noise. Then again, this is not a really demanding game, but I thought I could mention it. I hear no fan noise. So I'm very happy with this purchase. This is actually the first time I think Apple have made a laptop that works for my personal use, for using it for music production, using a lot of software synthesizers, using it for video editing, just like videos like this, and basically using it as my main PC for almost everything I do except gaming, which is not really high on the list at the moment. I do game, but then I have a PlayStation, I play upstairs on my TV, and then I actually play a little Minecraft with my kids. And I mean, Minecraft, it runs like, I don't know, 200-300 FPS on this Mac, so it's just no problem at all. So if you go for the 14 or the 16 inch, it's really up to you. Of course, if you need that 64 gigabytes of memory, you have to go to the M2 Max CPU. However, if you don't really need that much graphics performance, I would skip the Max CPU and just go for the Pro variant to save some money, and it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think this is going to be my daily driver for the foreseeable future for a while now. I'm going to try that and actually switch from Windows to Mac. And I'm not going to only use this as my office PC, which my M1 13-inch MacBook Pro was used for. And yeah, my desktop PC with Windows is on the floor here behind the camera. It's there as a gaming PC, and when the need arises, and a place to store my 3.5-inch hard drives. If you want to support what I do, I have started a Patreon, or on past it I might say, where you get access to a secret Discord channel on all tiers, only for patrons, where you can write to me and I will answer you when I am not at my normal day job. Among other perks, if you like music production projects, I have Ableton Live projects as well, so you can download them for free, or I mean for for the Patreon costs. Also check out the next video that the almighty algorithm god from YouTube suggests for you on the side here. That actually helps the channel if you keep watching my videos, and I have a lot of content on the Mac as well. Are you buying the updated MacBook Pro? Yes or no in the comments below. If you want me to test something else, you can also suggest it and I might get around to it. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching and take care. Goodbye.